What's up? What's happening? George Balekji here. He's Adam Pellerin. This is Foxborough Rush. Pell, it's good to have you back on the Rush, my man.
Oh, it's so good to be back. It was good to be back with Travis earlier this week. I missed you.
Missed
but
you
now
too, bud.
We reunite.
Exactly.
And we're all good.
Exactly.
All right, great.
Posted up at the bar. A little different setup this time, but, just a different part of the bar we're sitting at on our beautiful set. So, got a great show for you guys. We'll be talking about t.j.watt, if the Patriots should pursue him. Other players on the trade block. All the moves the Dolphins are making. Does that even change them, where we see them falling in the AFC East? We'll get into all that. We'll also talk NFC playoff picture. As we got into saying who fits where in the AFC, we'll talk NFC as well. And then we'll get into some mailbags, as we always like to finish with, too. Before we get into it on t.j. Watt, for 4th of July weekend, Adam.
Yes.
What's the tradition for you? Is it throwing a pigskin around, grilling burgers?
Yeah.
Is it talking T.J. Watt to the Patriots and getting deals done?
The tradition. There really is no tradition because while I love my line of work, it can require us to work on a holiday weekend or two. So I've worked on holiday weekends during my time here at Nesson, including the 4th of July. However, this year I am not working, so I will have a cookout this weekend at Casa de la Pellerin.
Interesting. Didn't get the invite text. Okay,
it's okay. It's family only, so don't be offended. No friends.
I am your younger brother.
Yeah, that's true. We do have a little similarity there. But just cooking out with the fam. I do have the following week off, so we'll be doing a little traveling as well. Maybe hit the Cape up a little bit.
All right.
Yeah, having a good time. Yeah. How about you?
Back-to-back weekends off. Rarity.
Yeah.
I'm saying for you.
Yeah,
that's good. Take advantage of the summertime.
I did work last weekend.
You'll have the 4th of July weekend.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Oh, wow. I didn't realize that. How about that?
That's what I bring. Enlightenment. Staying put. I like staying low-key. Memorial Day weekend and 4th of July weekend, staying in Boston's the best because everyone leaves.
Yeah.
No traffic. I don't go out on the 4th. We grill, but then the 5th or the 6th, whatever, how it falls, go out to eat. Don't have to wait at any restaurants. No one's here. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and you're going to have that new house soon, too. Be able to cook out.
Again, knocking on wood. Yes, there'll be a cookout for that. There'll be a cookout for that. It's getting to that finish line. It's getting to that finish line because when the countertop people have to visit for like a third time, I'm just like, at this point, I'll just live with the in-laws forever.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, so as we're talking about what we're doing for the 4th of July, T.J. Watt might be relaxing. His phone might be buzzing.
Yeah.
We'll see if the deal goes down. So let's start with what the Steelers did on Monday. Made a trade with the Dolphins, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and a pick for Jalen Ramsey in return. So they get a good cornerback, but they end up trading Minkah Fitzpatrick. It's kind of like a one-for-one deal. Minkah is a great, fantastic defensive player. Jalen Ramsey's still a really good cornerback, although he's on the back nine of his career. When this trade goes down, both teams being in the AFC, what's interesting enough, too, obviously the Patriots play the Dolphins week 2, then the Steelers week 3. So they'll be seeing these guys back-to-back. They would have seen them anyway, actually, if you think about it, for the trade. Let's start with, does this change anything on your outlook for the Steelers? And same thing with the Dolphins.
So there was a positional need there for the Steelers going into the offseason. They already got Darius Slay. So they shored up that side, and now they get Jalen Ramsey. So now all of a sudden you have a pretty good secondary. And, you look at the Pro Football Focus numbers, take it for what you will. They were 30th in coverage out of 32 teams last year. So they addressed the need with Slay first, and then they upgraded with Jalen Ramsey at that position. Now, I know Jalen Ramsey isn't the same Jalen Ramsey from a few years ago, but still a very competent cornerback in the National Football League. And, again, you take the PFF numbers for what they are, but he was ranked 11th out of all cornerbacks in the National Football League last year. So that's a lot better than what the Steelers had. And, we didn't even talk about the other side of it, Jonnu Smith, right? Part of that deal. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is the new quarterback. You have to think that they want to make him as happy as possible. They already added DK Metcalf, so you bring in Jonnu Smith, who had 88 catches last year.
Career year with the Dolphins. Miami. And great in that system. They just did not want to pay him.
No.
It's kind of like baffling.
Right.
A tight end fits your system perfect. And he goes to Pittsburgh. It's reunited with Arthur Smith, who was his OC in the Tennessee days. And that's what got Jonnu Smith. Arthur Smith got Jonnu Smith, paid by Bill Belichick and the Patriots.
Right.
Fantastic with the Titans, knows how to use them. So that's another weapon they add to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and I think that tells you where the Dolphins are headed now, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They're dealing with the aftermath of Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Tua all getting paid.
Yeah, they are. And, as far as Miami is concerned, this is just a salary dump for them.
Yeah.
Right? You bring in Minkah Fitzpatrick. That brings in some leadership. You got some young players on that side of the ball with Miami. But that team right now, I would think, based on what we think of the Patriots at this point, we haven't really talked about that, but I feel like this is a last place Dolphins team in the AFC East.
Ooh, I like that. All right, we'll get into that because it also says something about the Steelers, because after that trade went down, Adam Schefter tweeted, in recent weeks, multiple teams have been discussing whether they can trade for Steelers standout edge rusher t.j.watt. Skip the team's most recent minicamp. Pittsburgh hasn't shown any willingness to deal Watt so far, but he's unhappy with his contractual situation, and sources believe outside team interest is likely to increase given the trade.
Yeah.
So showing that the Steelers are willing to make deals. I mean, they offload Minka, who is a key piece in that defense and a leader, like you mentioned. Now, t.j. Watt is their best player on the roster.
No question.
But if the price is there, they got to make a trade. If they are not going to extend him, and this carries into the regular season, would you trade for t.j. Watt if you're the Patriots?
So if I'm the Patriots and I look at all the money that I invested in the defensive side of the ball, overall too, right? $300 million, and most of that was attributed to the defensive side of the ball. I think I've already got that part covered. If I'm the Patriots, I'd like to invest elsewhere. I'd like to invest on the offensive side of the ball, perhaps, right? Because of the uncertainty that you have there. I know you got Stephon Diggs already, and you made an investment there, and I know you invested draft capital in the wide receiver position as well. But I still look at that offense and say, Drake May needs some help. He needs some more weapons. And so with all of that said, t.j. Watt is still an elite pass rusher, but I do wonder if it lines up with where the Patriots are at right now. Watt's going to be 31 in October. And, is this Patriots team ready to contend now? I don't think they are. I don't think they'll be contenders next year. And we're talking like championship contenders, right? Like making it to the conference championship game, a chance to go to the Super Bowl. I don't think they're there this year. I don't think they might be there. I mean, if all goes well, they're there next year.
Yeah.
Right? But Watt's going to command a boatload of money. I mean, he's looking at Myles Garrett money.
Yeah.
Right?
And a first-round pick probably in return, too, in a trade.
And you're not even talking about, what the Steelers,
assets to give up.
You might have to give up in return. So, I don't think it makes sense for the Patriots right now. I'd rather, if they want to add, because, again, this Patriots team last in the league, in 24.
Pass rush was absolutely terrible.
Yeah, 28 sacks, dead last in the NFL. I mean, I think they addressed that a little bit, and they addressed that not only with the pass rush specifically, but the fact that they got a much better secondary, right? You upgrade there, with Carlton Davis. So I don't think that Watt is right for the Patriots.
He would be a great fit, but I think the timeline's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And then you talk about, it's not just him getting paid. They have the cap room. This is a team that's still, since they drafted Drake May, it was like a 3-year rebuild. Even bringing in Mike Vrabel, it's going to take 2 to 3 years to becoming serious contenders. And that's it with the money they invested. Unless they trade for t.j. Watt, then you look at their edge rushers. Harold Landry's 29, about to be 30.
Yep.
t.j. Watt's about to be 31, like you pointed out.
Right.
If I'm the Steelers, too, I want young assets in return. I want a first-round pick, probably 2 first-round picks, and then maybe a Keon White or a younger player, maybe on the offense. The offense doesn't have as many pieces, though, that they need. But you want a pass rusher in return. So you're giving up a guy that's about to be a third-year rookie control contract in Keon White for someone you're going to have to pay. And by the time the contract is up, that's when you're finally contending.
Yeah.
So does the money matter in the long run? Well, you're going to have to pay Christian Gonzalez in 2 years. You're going to have to pay Drake May in 3 years.
Yeah, which is going to be a heavy price tag.
Exactly.
If all goes well.
That's a guy that will be making like $70 million a year.
Exactly.
It's all about the scale of the quarterbacks and how much, like what Josh Allen just got. It's resetting the market and all that, the guaranteed money. This is a defense, too. You point out how much they invested. It's a Harold Landry, Milton Williams as free agents. Christian Barmore is extended.
Right.
They have Keon White. They drafted Braden Swinson and Joshua Farmer. They built out a deep enough defensive line. The success of this team, I don't think it's made or broken by t.j. Watt. Now, does he push a defense over the top? Certainly, with how good the secondary is. But it's just when you talk timelines and what his age is. If he was 27, certainly you go out and get him. 26, be a hefty price tag. You'd have to figure it out, but then you go and get him. But it's about to be 31, coming off back-to-back 17-game season, so he's been playing. But that is something where you invest in the defensive line. You did go younger with interior pass rushers and Harold Landry. This wouldn't make sense for the Patriots. And for a team that's still in the rebuild, like it's going to be a rebuild for them. They have a few years out. The first-round picks are really important because as we see, I like that you point out Dolphins finished last in this division. Patriots are going to mess around and win 9-10 games and could get into a wild card spot. Or if offensive line doesn't work out, they're having a premium top end of the draft pick again, and that matters a lot for them.
Yeah, it does. And another thing, and I think it's important to point out, we're talking about t.j.watt just in a vacuum. He had 19 sacks 2 years ago. He had 11 and a half last year. Played all 17 games, right? And again, you're talking about a guy who's going to be 31 years old. And so, 11 and a half sacks. I mean, you take that a million times if you're the Patriots, right, in terms of production, right? Just looking at the 11 and a half sacks. But if we're looking at the player and we're looking at trading for a player of that caliber and we're looking at extending a player with, Myles Garrett type of money, you kind of have to look at that and say, well, wait a minute. Is this the beginning of some sort of decline? And I would also say if the Patriots were really hungry to add to their defense right now and add some sort of pass rush, Kayvon Thibodeau, the Giants. I mean, he's he talks
he's on a rental. He's trade less away.
Yeah, absolutely. And also he's younger.
Yeah.
Right. And you're talking about, if he was 26, 27, you might consider it. I mean, that's a guy that I would rather target than a t.j.watt because of the age factor and because of the cost factor.
Yeah, and he would slot in where he doesn't have to be the premier. He could be the premier pass rusher, but it's also with the depth they have, like that brings the best out of him too.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, the Patriots, I mean, I don't know what their pass rush is going to look like. I'm sure it will be better than last year.
You can only get better than the worst.
You can.
Unless you're the worst
again.
Right.
But, and I would look at their draft too. And I know he's a 5th round pick, but Braden Swinson,
really good pass rush specialist at LSU.
I mean, that could be, a diamond in the rough, and you got to hit on some of these draft picks, right?
Yep.
I mean, you have to say, hey, man, this is a diamond in the rough. This is a big surprise. We didn't expect, this kind of production. You hope to have that too, right? You hope Elliott Wolf and his staff, as featured in Forged in Foxborough, which we will talk about coming up. Episode 2 is about to drop, but they really went behind the scenes, and all of this work is done, ahead of a draft, whether it's the Senior Bowl, the Combine, or whatever, to try and identify those types of players. So you don't have to go out and trade for t.j.watt and spend boatloads of money.
It's the Eagles formula. It's what everyone's trying to replicate. We literally saw the 49ers pour pretty much every draft pick into the D-line. Same thing with the Buffalo Bills, all their draft picks going to the defense. You have to get it cost-effective under cost control. Instead of trading for someone on the back nine, you have to give up the draft picks that will get those elite pass rushers and pay them too. And we'll talk about Fortune Foxborough. I'm interested how the second episode will be. So we're both bullish on the t.j.watt trade. If the price is perfect, like if it's like, okay, it's falling in my lap, you trade for him, but we both know the reality of it. Steelers are a smart organization, and he's a smart player. They want a good trade in return. He wants to get paid. So to the other side
and by the way, just to add to that, do they really want to make a friendly deal with the Patriots too, right? With the Steelers?
In the AFC, you're going to have to face them week 3.
Yeah, and not only that, but there's some bad blood there, right? Over the years. I mean, the headset's not working in Foxborough, right? I mean, all that stuff.
The playoff matchups too.
There's legit, dislike there too.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair with all of that. So when it comes to the Dolphins, who were the team that set off all of this, when they trade away a Jalen Ramsey and a Jonnu Smith, you said it. You think the Dolphins finished last in the AFC East. Why is that?
I think they finished last because, let's start with their quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I haven't been a big Tua fan from day one. I do feel badly for the guy because of all the concussions that he's had to endure and the injuries, but I just don't see that guy being the type of player that can elevate this team beyond where they've already gone. And I also look at what the Dolphins are doing. I mean, clearly they're shedding salary here. They're taking a flyer on Darren Waller, who, I mean, I don't know how much interest he's going to have in wanting to play football again. He might be, reinvigorated and continue the rap career. I don't know, but
I hope not.
But I more than that, I look at the rest of the division. I mean, the Bills, I think, are going to win the division. I think the Jets are better. They got Aaron Glenn's the new head coach. Obviously, they think that Justin Fields is going to be the guy.
Yeah.
And I think the Patriots are better too. So I look at those 3 teams, and then I look at what the Dolphins got going on, and I think they're the last place team in the AFC East.
It's a team where it all starts with Tua, and it's also this offensive line is nothing spectacular. Yeah. They have Patrick Paul, who's going to be year 2. He's going to be starting at left tackle. Don't know what you get with him. And it's just question marks pretty much everywhere but the center position across the O-line. And you mentioned it. Tua is a really good system quarterback. Yeah. And when you produce in that system and it produces at an elite level, like, awesome, you're a good quarterback, he got paid. But this is a Dolphins team dealing with the ramifications of offloading all those draft picks and paying Tyreek Hill, paying Jalen Waddle. Tyreek Hill is on his back nine. We've seen the numbers drop off. I don't know if he's still like the what he says through the media too about Mike McDaniels, about the team wanting to be traded, then walks it back too. It is such a toxic existence in the Dolphins. And Jonnu Smith, like you pointed out, 88 catches, career year. They trade him away, and their plan is Darren Waller, who had 2 great years with the Raiders.
Yeah.
But that's the plan at tight end.
Yeah.
And that's where the question marks come. And I like Mike McDaniel's system.
Right.
I never bought into the cool sunglasses, the joggers. I honestly always hated listening to the press conferences because it's just rambling.
Yeah.
It never gets anywhere, and I'm not going to waste my time. It's filibustering. Mm-hmm. It's him as a head coach too. It's a soft football team. Whatever the splits are, we know they lose against teams with winning records, and it's all coming to a head in Miami. So that's a team, to your point, I don't fear, and that's a team, same thing, where they've been surpassed by the Patriots, which is really bad to say when that's a team that's won 4 games each of the last 2 seasons and is about to have a year 2 quarterback when they've had all the key pieces.
Yeah, and the Mike McDaniel thing is just getting old to me.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. I mean, I'm sure the players like him because he's like, hey, man, I'm cool like
Lets
you.
them do what they want to do.
Right, exactly. But at the end of the day, you need some structure there.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need a hard ass to run the show.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't think he fits that bill.
And it's, again, with what the solution is. Okay, we'll trade Jonnu Smith. If it's his decision, if it's Chris Greer's decision, the GM there. Mm-hmm. But going with Darren Waller, a guy that's been away from football, and we saw football is not the main thing for him. Right. And this is a team.
Right, exactly. It's how much interest is he really going to have?
Yeah.
Especially, and again, South Beach, distraction, all that stuff that goes,
it's a hard place to play.
In Miami, it is.
And that's where, with this team, I think it's so many question marks. I think they're going to they'll still surprise us of how far they fall.
Yeah.
But this is a team that had a really minute window of, I don't know, just having a good offense. Again, they weren't beating teams with winning records. And for the Dolphins, being bad makes life for the Patriots easier. And same thing, the Jets, that's a good roster. Aaron Glenn's a good head coach. He brings over Tanner Engstrad with him, who's under Ben Johnson. Awesome, that's great. I don't believe in Justin Fields, and with the way this division shakes out, it is the Bills, it's everyone else.
Yeah.
But I would not be, again, surprised if the Patriots finish second in this division, which would be so good for them.
It would be.
And it plays into when they play their teams in the division, like the Bills coming off a bye, but also how good they are at the quarterback position, how good they could be, how easy this schedule is that lays out for them.
Yeah, that's what
too.
I was going to say. The strength of schedule is certainly in the Patriots'
so much in their
favor.
favor.
Yep.
That's where I get 10 wins. At one point, they're going to face 3 straight rookie quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. They face Josh Allen twice, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson once, Burrow and Lamar. But after that, it's just good quarterbacks at most outside of those 3 elite guys that they'll face.
Yeah, and you know what, George? Training camp, we can actually say, starts this month. We're there.
There's a preseason game this month.
Yeah, there's a preseason game.
It's around the corner. Football's back.
Football's back, baby.
I love doing this show. The July months can be hard.
They can be.
Because we got to make stuff up.
Right.
But we still like talking about it with them. So
yeah, we're good.
We'll get to that right after this break. Yeah. We'll go into some interesting quotes from Robert Kraft, and then we'll talk some Forge at Foxborough. This is Foxborough Rush. We'll be right back after this break. George Balekji, Adam Pellerin back here on Foxborough Rush. So, Adam, newsflash, I don't know if you know, the Patriots won 4 games each of the last 2 seasons.
Wow, that's bad.
Bill Belichick just absolutely driving that roster into the ground. Mm-hmm. Fracture between him and Robert Kraft of their relationship where, it was a, what did he say? It was not majestic, but it was it's a beautiful final solution. It's we're parting ways. Then Robert Kraft publicly saying he fired Bill Belichick. Gerard Mayo didn't work out.
Oh, you could say that.
It's being really nice about it, too.
Yeah.
So Robert Kraft did appear on the Adam Schefter podcast, and he had this to say about the last 2 seasons. Some more accountability from Robert Kraft. Check it out.
Any Patriot fans that are out there, I can tell you I'm very excited about this upcoming season. The last 2 years were the worst years of my 31 years of ownership. We have to change that. We have a new coach in Mike Vrabel who is really connected with the players, who's doing great work. We have a young quarterback, a lot of great veterans, free agent veterans who came in, a great draft class. We're going to have fun this year, I promise.
And you said it was the worst 2 years of your 31 years of ownership?
31 years of ownership. I'm very proud. we never won a playoff. There was only one home playoff game in 34 years. I sat in the stands 1978. Earl Campbell ran for over 100 yards, and we lost. One home playoff game. We've owned the team 31 years. We've had 27 home playoff games, and we're privileged to win 23. I want that record to keep going.
First things first, give Robert Kraft credit. He takes accountability every time he speaks publicly. Like, actually.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, dude, no duh. 2 worst years.
Yeah. Well, I mean, math would tell you that. I mean, literally the 2 worst records during his ownership. I mean, yeah, I agree.
Going 4-13.
There's no debating that.
If you think about it, too, if it was the old setting of a 16-game season, that would have been a 3-13 team this past season because the Bills had to literally hand them a game week 17, week 18.
That's right.
For them to win it.
But I would say that, yeah, they were the 2 worst years of ownership in your 31 years.
Yeah.
But, how much blame do you take for that? You should take a significant amount.
If there's the pie,
yeah,
he's taking like a 60-70% of the blame.
He's the owner, right?
Right.
I mean, and it was actively decided not to spend in 2023, right? And then actively, the Patriots as a whole, and letting Bill Belichick run the show for too long.
Yes.
Right.
Eventually,
Bill
it was
the
Bill
GM.
Bill the GM versus Bill the coach,
right?
And it should have been Bill the coach at the end because he was still on top of his game.
Yeah, sure.
Defense was always top 5. But it's even too, and that's why he brought in a Bill O'Brien because Bill the coach, and that's where he had the black eyes. Bill the coach brought in Matt Patricia and Joe Judge.
Right, exactly. And that was an absolute unmitigated disaster, right? And that made absolutely no sense in the whole thing about the titles, not giving him, the coordinator titles and all of that stuff.
He always
was just
had the
such
head coach title.
for a guy, right?
Interesting,
and yes, and the GM tag, right?
Yeah.
But for all of those years of the Patriot way and not being a distraction, he was every bit of a distraction in his final years, with the Patriots. And if you can blame Robert Kraft for for something related to Bill Belichick is not pulling the trigger sooner,
right? And it's also with baking into Gerard Mayo's contract while he was still the DC or what was it, assistant linebackers coach or assistant safeties coach, whatever, that he would be the successor as a head coach. And the second Bill caught wind of that, walled him off, alienated him, cut off all communication. Where Bill Belichick, in Robert Kraft's dream, where he wants everything to be a Disney book, a Disney story, it would be Bill Belichick mentors Gerard Mayo. And I bet at Bill Belichick's retirement presser, it's Bill Belichick, it's Robert Kraft, and it's Gerard Mayo, and they have a photo of the 3 of them, and he hands over the franchise, and Gerard Mayo just takes over, and the next 10, 20 years is a successful head coach. Right? And for Robert Kraft as an owner and make him seem like the biggest genius. It didn't work out. Got ahead of his skis, but as a thing of, you said, held on to Bill too long, didn't pull the trigger, knew Gerard Mayo could not return as head coach, knew that wasn't working, so makes that call. But this was set up to be on him, and rightfully so for him to take it too. It was the worst 2 years of his time as an owner. And it's on him, and he does take the blame.
He takes the blame, and he also is trying to make it right. Right.
Yep.
So as much as you give him criticism for, what we just talked about, you give him credit for, okay, Gerard Mayo did not work out. He's got to go.
Yeah.
And he got that done. We need to improve this roster. Let's open up the checkbook.
Yeah.
They spent over $300 million and they got that done. So you got to give him credit for that. And I have no doubt that he wants to win. He doesn't want to be in last place. He doesn't want to be the laughingstock. Like he said, he grew up with the Patriots being the laughingstock. I grew up with the Patriots being the laughingstock in New England. It's no fun. Yeah. And as an owner, it's less fun because everybody's looking at you upstairs and saying, what are you going to do to fix this? And so, to his credit, he has taken steps to fix it.
And it'll be good to see what the steps are. I mean, it started with going with Mike Vrabel, bringing back Josh McDaniels, spending the money on the roster, but also letting Mike Vrabel, now he's running the show, but Mike Vrabel's more modern, how he built out his coaching staff, experience all over. But you notice with Robert Kraft that is corrected in a way of to have a better pulse on the team, which is needed to an extent. You don't want meddling owners. You don't want a David Tepper with Carolina.
Or Jerry Jones.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Who's the poster child for that. Or poster man, I guess you'd say. Poster old man.
Poster child for Jerry Jones. That's first time. That's great. Poster old man. Fantastic. I mean, that's what he is.
Right.
And to have the pulse of the team, though, to know when to make changes happen, and he will be more hands-on with Vrabel, but you have someone with more serious football operation. As the owner, he tried to do too much. Let Bill run, put in an OC, hire Gerard Mayo without really going through an interview process, not talking about football. As you heard reports come out of interviews with coordinators. No, get it back to being about football. That's what we bring with Mike Vrabel, what they've done with their front office, what they've done with the draft. That's what's important.
Yeah, and I think they've done a good job this offseason with all of what we just talked about, and they've built a foundation for success now. And I think that's important. You have the quarterback. Now you're building around the quarterback offensively. You draft the offensive lineman. We'll see what happens with some of the other weapons that they have. They dropped the running back, right? Out of Ohio State,
yep.
Travion Henderson. And so, they're starting there. And defensively, I think they've done an outstanding job. That's going to be a really good defense this year. I know we talked about maybe adding t.j.watt or another pass rusher. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be elite yet, but it's going to be good. It's the strongest part of their team so far, and so yeah, I think that they have at least set the foundation for success, something to build on moving forward.
It's something we've seen change too. Robert Kraft's still the owner. Mike Vrabel is head coach. It's the access. So second episode of Forge of Foxborough is coming out. Basically, the Patriots doing their version of Hard Knocks,
right?
Which more and more teams are going to do. Why invite HBO when you can control it all? Did you watch? You watched episode 1?
I did. You want thoughts?
Yeah.
So I thought it was good. I thought a couple of things that stood out was that it was nothing negative. Right, there was,
and that's why that's why
negative.
teams are going to do more Hard Knocks.
Right, exactly.
They control everything.
Yeah, and so there was that. What I did like, and I thought it was great. The beginning with Mike Vrabel addressing the team, the whole thing with whoever he called in from the audience, I can't remember.
I didn't fully understand that though. He's like, push me, and then fights back.
Well, I also think that there's part of the whole thing with Will Campbell and how he knocked down Mike Vrabel, right?
Maybe.
Yeah, and so I think that Vrabel likes to be hands-on, right? He likes to do that. He still thinks he's kind of like a player in some ways, I think. So he likes to do the physical aspect of it because you see him with the pads and practice and stuff like that. But I did like, his message to the team. And here's what I really liked. There was no reference whatsoever to his playing days, Bill Belichick, the Patriot way, the Patriot dynasty, Tom Brady, none of that. Yeah, it's a part of the team's history, of course. But this is our team now. Everybody in this room is a part of this generation of Patriots football. The past does not matter. He actually even talked about the past.
That was a part that jumped out to me
when he
too.
was talking about last year. It's like, I don't care about last year. Last year doesn't matter. This is a whole new start. So I like that part of it.
Detach it from the past. And because all those guys that grew up being Patriots fans, knowing what the dynasty is, he's like, that doesn't matter anymore. Last Super Bowl was the 18-19 season. Those guys were none of them in college at that point.
Right.
Crazy to think. None of them in college at that point, though. And it's a whole new regime. It was very surface level.
Yeah.
But against your point, nothing negative.
No.
I like the draft talk. So here's a trailer for the second episode of Forge of Foxborough. More mini camp, more practice. Check it out right here.
The way they practice, a lot of effort, a lot of finish.
Great teams know how to practice at different speeds. That's just what we're going to do because that's the only way that our identity can take over.
This is professional football. This is your job. You're not on scholarship. You don't get a redshirt year.
It better be tough. If you're not tough, you're going to have a hard time playing in this league.
Patriots minicamp continues today.
You got 2 steps inside and you got to get out. Good. Better. That's how the drill should be.
There it is. Good. Good work right there, Dip. Good rep. Get off. Got it? We can remember it, but we can also work together.
All right, big weekend this weekend. My son turns 21. We're in this business to win and to help players improve. I think that they embraced the change.
I would have spit with 2, huh?
I feel like I'm blessed to do this, so I wake up with that grind every day.
So you shot it?
Pass on me, pass on 3, 1, 2, 3.
So I'm excited for that one. The amount of practice footage is going to be great.
Yep.
We are going to get so much of Vrabel with a penny on, doing reps at middle linebacker. We are going to get so much of the Vrabel in the drills hitting the guys.
I hope so. Will Campbell knocked him on his backside.
His keister.
I hope to see the same. I hope that if that happens, we see that.
That would be
in the video.
I think it would be in episode 1. It was from his visit.
Yeah.
I wonder if that'd be illegal documenting that. No, I'm saying illegal NFL PA ways or whatever.
Yeah.
That footage, though, like that's a legendary. There's security camera footage somewhere.
Yep.
They could pull it. I mean, it's the Patriots doing it.
You know, the other thing, we talked about there being nothing negative in episode 1, and we heard all sorts of stuff about Drake May, right?
Yeah.
During, OTAs, people questioning, whether or not,
the 4 interception day.
Yeah. Are we going to see any of that stuff? Are we going to see any of the negative stuff?
I think we would, because if you want to do right by not just fans but Drake May,
right.
Show the 4 interception day,
Yep.
Show him getting pissed off,
yeah.
Show him bouncing back and just being an absolute killer on the football field.
Yeah, absolutely.
They should
I think
show
that's
that.
a part of the story, right? You
That's
can't hide that
what I
stuff.
want to see, and I like Drake May's mic'd up. Like
Yeah.
I want to hear more from him as a leader. I believe it. Like we hear about it. This is the one I'll be excited about.
Yeah, that's a great point. You want to hear from the players, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we didn't hear that outside of the draft picks, in episode 1, right? Because obviously they weren't on the field yet when they filmed it. But now you get to hear from the players. Mic up Drake May. Hopefully that happens. If not episode 2, episode 3.
I wonder how many episodes if they go.
Well, that's the other question too. I don't think that they've announced that. Doing my internet research here during the clip we were showing, I didn't see an episode list. So I would imagine it's the Hard Knocks format where it's through training camp. Now, what Hard Knocks also did is they did an in-season one now.
Yes.
Right?
I watched an episode of that. They did the AFC North cool. I watched maybe an episode and a half and I just stopped.
Yeah.
I am beaten to death now by this stuff.
You think it's oversaturation?
Yes.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Yeah, that might be true.
Especially football. I've watched Amazon Prime has their series.
Yep.
I watched on the New Zealand All Blacks, a rugby team.
Yeah.
Watched on Man City.
Yeah.
No problem with sports I don't know.
Right.
I think that's what it is. I'm just oversaturation of football.
Maybe that's it, right?
There's this podcast,
Yeah.
Foxborough Rush, that covers the Patriots so much.
That's a great
Who needs
show.
to watch Forge and Foxborough when you have Foxborough Rush?
That's true. We talk about all the storylines, all the relevant topics. Why would you even need to?
Don't even need that. They should do that. Want to end it with this one. You see this storyline? So Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
Shedeur Sanders. Here's a tweet that came out. Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson has been mentoring young rookie QB Shedeur Sanders since coming to Cleveland. Watson has reportedly taken Sanders under his wing, and the two have spent a lot of time together.
Wow.
Stay away, Shedeur.
I mean, so not only that, but I mean, it's been an interesting offseason already for Shedeur Sanders, right? 2 speeding tickets.
Yes.
One going over 100 miles an hour, not showing up to a court date, just paying the fine. I mean, that's not a great start. Everybody makes mistakes, but I mean, this was a guy that's character was being questioned.
Yeah,
to begin with.
Yeah.
And that's why he slid to the 5th round. And now you do this, and now you're hanging out with that guy.
I would keep it in the building, and that's it. At most, you have to be the quarterback room with him. But reports like this, you just let it go out. But it's keep that distance.
Yeah, and to be fair, the article also said that Watson was hanging out with all the quarterbacks, right? Because they have a very crowded quarterback room.
Dylan Gabriel, Joe Flacco,
Joe
Shedeur
Flacco,
Sanders,
the ghost of Joe Flacco,
Deshaun Watson,
Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickett's in there too.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. So to be fair, but you wonder if Shedeur's the headline, if that's the sort of relationship that's forming is between those two guys, right? While Watson may be around those other guys, you wonder what the closeness is of this relationship. And again, is that the right guy to be a mentor to one of your young quarterbacks that you have on the roster?
By no means, in my opinion. And if I'm a rookie, that him being Kevin Stefanski's system is a good fit.
Yeah,
I think he can be a good rookie, good NFL quarterback. I do think he has to sit a year or two and just build up his talent all around. But that's a guy that you keep it to football, and then when you're done with the meeting rooms, all that, you just hang away, stray back. Don't spend too much time with them.
Yeah.
You talk about mistakes. Deshaun Watson made the same. I'm not going to call it a mistake. He made the same decision 20 plus times.
Right.
And that's put him in all of this. So
yeah, and not only that, but I mean, is he not disgruntled right now because you have all of these quarterbacks in the room, and you're supposed to be the guy, you were supposed to be the guy. Obviously, the decisions that you alluded to, the poor ones, the terrible ones, the ghastly ones. But with all that said, now you're recovering from an ACL. You don't know what you're going to look like. You don't know if your job's going to be there waiting for you when you come back. You don't know what your future, if your future is. Is this a guy that you want your young, impressionable draft pick hanging around?
Because would he have the best intentions in mind for Shedeur Sanders? I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't know either.
And you know what? If I'm Shedeur, I wouldn't want to find out.
No.
If I'm Deion Sanders,
and where's
I wouldn't
Deion,
want to find out.
Where's Deion in all this?
Got surgery. He's back with Colorado, I think. He's healthy.
Yeah.
He has to be on the phone. Like, and that's where, when it comes to stuff like this, it's so much with these young athletes everywhere. It's like, who are the people in your corner? Who's advising you?
Right.
Giving you, and it doesn't have to literally be an agent or an advisor, but like, who is a person giving you advice? Hey, you're working with the guy. He's going to give you advice. He's played quarterback. Keep it to that.
Yeah.
Anything else, like you say, like the stuff off the field, do not go to him for advice.
Yeah, because, I mean, Shedeur Sanders is a talented man.
Yes.
You know, the numbers he put up at Colorado are no fluke,
Yep.
right? And again, you don't know. You never know with any of these guys if it's going to translate to success in the National Football League. It's a whole different level. The athletes are just, ridiculous. The decision-making needs to be that much quicker because of the talent that you have on the defensive side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
But with that said, that's a good foundation, to start, right? You see what he did in Division I level at Colorado after he transferred, but then you go into Cleveland, it's kind of like, all right, well, that's not a great situation there either.
And when your name is
Though
Shedeur,
I do like Kevin Stefanski.
yeah, I think it'd be great. When your last name's Sanders, too, everything you do, every decision you make, who you have around you, everything's under a microscope.
Right, exactly.
Tighten them. If it was Dylan Gabriel, I mean, it would still be a headline because they know what they're doing with this headline and this report.
Yeah.
And we're talking about it, but it is something like you see that and you're like that, and that is something that's significant.
Fair.
Why would I not want to see Shedeur succeed? It'd be cool.
Yeah.
Just want him to make the right decision with the people he keeps around.
And you do have to fight the media here, too, right? Because you're
Yes.
talking about the headline, right?
Yeah.
And of course, between the two, it's Sanders who's going to get the headline.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's the one who's going to have to answer more questions, too. We'll take another break here on Foxborough Rush. When we get back, we'll talk NFC playoff predictions, who we have winning the divisions, the wild card, who we have missing the playoffs. That's coming up right after this break. Welcome back to Foxborough Rush. All right, Adam. So last week we went through the AFC. And I like this because it's early predictions, because we can make this right now because it's July G-damn 2nd.
I know. I love it.
So much is going to be different before the season.
Yeah.
And so let's run through the NFC. So we know the teams and how the seeding fell. Lions, Eagles, Buccaneers, Rams. That's seeds 1 through 4, won their division. Right. Vikings were the 5 seed. Commanders the 6. Packers the 7. Mm-hmm. And obviously the Commanders went from the 6 seed to the NFC Championship game with the Eagles. Eagles won the Super Bowl. Who do you have? And let's start with the division winners, because it's fun to go division winners and wild card. Yeah. Because you dwindle it out. Division winners are more predictable. Who do you have? And we'll start with the NFC East in this one.
All right.
Easy decision.
Yeah, NFC East. It has to be the Giants. No, just
totally. It's Tommy DeVito.
Yeah, it's Tommy DeVito.
And then Jackson Dart.
Yeah. Who else? Didn't they bring
Jameis Winston,
Russell?
Yeah,
when you have Russell Wilson. That's right.
That's who you wanted
that's what I was thinking of. Yeah, they're forgettable. So yeah, they're in last again. I think the standings are going to look pretty much the same as last year.
Yeah.
Right. I think the Eagles are going to win that division. Saquon Barkley, not going to have that year.
It's hard to repeat.
Yeah.
The amount of touches, the amount of usage, and it was just he had an all-time season.
Yeah. So that's a question mark. But the other question mark too is, and this happens when you have a year like the Eagles had, their strength of schedule. I mean, they have one of the toughest schedules in terms of winning percentage from last year. So that's going to be a challenge. With all of that said, I still think that they're good enough to win the division. Maybe not, get to the same win total.
Yeah.
But they'll win the division.
This is the best team in the league by far. Still the best roster.
Yeah.
We talk about why you need first round draft picks and all that. I mean, look at what their secondary is with Cooper DeJean and Kenyon Mitchell.
Yeah.
Look at what their D line is with a Nolan Smith, a Jalen Carter, and even look at how they hit on the late draft picks like a Milton Williams, who is phenomenal for them now with the Patriots. Yeah, I have the Eagles as a 1. That was an easy decision.
Yep.
2 seed. This is where I have a switch up. I have a lot of belief in the quarterback here. I have a lot of belief in the continuity. This is one of my favorite offenses in the NFL. 2 seed and winning the NFC North, I have the Vikings. I do not have the Lions repeating.
You have the Vikings
over the Packers.
J.J. McCarthy.
Yes.
In his first year under center. Interesting.
Over Jared Goff.
Yeah.
Over, obviously Jordan Love, and over Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson.
Rookie quarterback, man, because that's what he is now.
I know.
Even with a year under his belt in the building.
I can't get the image of Sam Darnold having an MVP-esque season.
Yeah.
And obviously, he became Sam Darnold eventually.
Right.
But he was putting up MVP numbers. J.J. McCarthy has the mental fortitude. Now, Sam Darnold, of course, a lot more NFL experience.
Yeah.
I'm a believer in it's Kevin O'Connell more than J.J. McCarthy. And it's the structure around the J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean,
Tough.
I think,
the division's impossible.
Yeah, and again, to see what Sam Darnold did in that system last year after what Sam Darnold had done throughout the course of his NFL career to that point gives you some pause, in terms of was it Sam Darnold or was it right? Because now Seattle's going to find out.
Yes,
what Sam Darnold is, and so we'll see how that plays out. It'll be interesting to see that, right? Because if Darnold has a great year, it's just like, oh, all right, well maybe it was him, and we'll see what McCarthy does. But I don't have them as the 2 seed. I have the Lions again.
Okay.
Now you look at that and say, all right, well, why do you have the Lions again? Well, especially the fact that they're losing both coordinators, which is kind of significant too, right? And Ben Johnson,
passing game coordinator too, and Strand leading with Ben Johnson,
right? But they're getting Aiden Hutchinson back.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I mean, he's an elite pass rusher, and that defense as it was still pretty good without him. So I have faith in that. I have faith in their offense and Jared Goff. I have them. They won 15 games last year.
Great team, great roster.
Yeah.
It's a coaching turnover for me that worries me about the Lions.
Yeah.
And the same
fair.
thing, when you look, I'm a big Jordan Love believer. This is my make or break season for him, though.
Yeah.
Only so many times I could keep going back to the X until they hurt me enough and I go, I've had enough.
Yeah.
And then the one that it's a polarizing pick, and it's because it is Caleb Williams. Him now with a Ben Johnson, them adding a Colston Loveland and a Luther Burden into that receiving room, that changes so much with the Bears, who already had a good defense.
Yeah.
Again, this division is damn near impossible, but I have the Vikings winning it. Who do you have as a 3 seed then? If you go Eagles 1, Lions 2 seed, who's your 3 seed?
Yeah, so this one was tough too, because I feel like it's Eagles, Lions, and everybody else, or Vikings in your case. But I would say I like the Niners.
Okay. Big bounce back year.
A bounce back year. You got Robert Saleh back there.
Defense should clean
right,
it up.
Exactly. Healthy Brock Purdy. They're not going to have Ayuk to start the year. Deebo Samuel's gone to Washington. But to your point, they dropped that tight end. McCaffrey's coming back. You assume he's going to be healthy as well. So I like the Niners. And the other thing, too, is, Ricky Pearsall, I think, kind of showed out.
Yeah,
last part of the season for the Niners. So I'm going to go with them as a 3 seed.
I like going with the Niners. Again, it's Kyle Shanahan as a coaching there that you believe in. And Brock Purdy got paid. That pressure's off his plate, too.
Yeah. You going Rams?
Yes.
Yeah.
I wanted to go away from the Rams. I did want to go crazy and go Seahawks.
Yeah.
But then I look at the Rams, how they invested in the offense. It's adding Devontae Adams to Puka Nacua.
Yep.
Drafting a Terrence Ferguson. And then Josiah Stewart. Again, I'm putting a lot into the rookies as I'm going team to team, as you can tell. But Josiah Stewart, adding him to a Jared Verse, those are NFL-ready guys. Terrence Ferguson's a good tight end. That's an NFL-ready pass catcher. And it's Sean McVay. It's Matt. It just feels like it's Matt Stafford's last ride. And I'm not I hate the he's due conversation, but that guy's been so damn good time and time again. And it's how they addressed the wide receiving room, adding a Devontae Adams to teach a Puka Nacua.
Yeah.
Tough for me to go away from the Rams because of, I know what Sam Darnold becomes eventually a pumpkin. This 49ers team is going to be young, and Arizona's Arizona.
No,
but
it's just tough. They were in the division for a second.
It's tough for me to go away from the Rams when looking at division, and it's coincidentally I have them as a 3 seed.
Yeah, no, that's fair. The NFC South is an absolute dumpster fire.
Just who would pick your Russian roulette?
Good Lord.
It's really 2 bullets. It feels like it's Falcons or Buccaneers.
Yeah, I'm going Bucks again.
I'm going Falcons.
You going Falcons? You
like
Michael Penix, huh?
Yeah,
all right.
The Penix bump.
Yeah, sure. Why not? That's fun.
How many different play callers can I like Baker Mayfield a lot, I believe in him. How many different play callers? Because it went from Dave Canales to Liam Cohn. Now it's another new name in there. And that, again, it's like the turnover. Give me the continuity in a way of the Falcons. Mm-hmm. That defense has to be good because as we talk about how bad the Patriots pass rush was, Falcons was non-existent. Mm-hmm. They put a lot. Drafted James Pierce out of Tennessee. Or excuse me, Jalen Walker out of Georgia. Traded back in for James Pierce. Insane what they did. But the offense I like, and it's betting on a Michael Penix bump.
Yeah, fair enough. Kirk Cousins, man, what a disaster in Atlanta.
Give him all the money. Less than 60 days later, you draft Michael Penix.
Is this the Sam Darnold situation in Seattle? Is that what's going to happen? I actually don't even know the quarterback room very well in Seattle, to be honest with you.
Seattle's quarterback room is not fun.
Yeah,
When you look up
yeah,
Seahawks.
because I'm just thinking about Kirk Cousins and, again, the success in Minnesota.
Sam Darnold, Jalen Milroe, Drew Lock.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah,
Really bad.
Yeah, that is really bad. That could be really bad in Seattle this year. Huh?
I just always thought Kirk Cousins to Cleveland made a ton of sense in a trade.
Right, well, reuniting, right?
But then they get Shedeur Sanders, and it's like they would rather have the rookies play. Total rebuild year and
Yeah.
reset for them, get money off the books. Falcons could be in a good spot where a quarterback goes down somewhere, or I thought Kirk Cousins to Pittsburgh potentially.
Yep.
A quarterback will go down somewhere. Kirk Cousins gets traded before the deadline.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a mess there. Their Easton Stick is their third string quarterback too, by the way. Never thought I'd say that name again.
I love it.
So we go through the division winners.
Yep.
You have the Buccaneers winning the NFC South. Wild card teams.
No.
I feel like the 5 is an easy pick, but I don't want to put words in your mouth. Who do you have this?
Giants, no quite. Oh, wait. Yeah, that's right. They stink.
Terrible.
Commanders.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the Commanders.
It's the right pick.
Jaden Daniels. The sophomore slump thing. I know I talked about the rookie thing, and now I'm talking about the sophomore slump thing. Those are real.
Yeah.
I'm not totally concerned. A little worried about the Terry McLaurin situation. Losing
They
a weapon.
need him there.
Yeah. Looking at Deebo Samuel and thinking about Zion Williamson for some reason.
Barbecue's not as good in DC or the
pictures that I've
beignets.
seen as of late. So there is some concern there, but I do think that they're definitely the 5 seed. And they'll compete with the Eagles.
The food in DC is really good, though.
I love DC.
International city, so it makes sense.
I love DC.
Fantastic city.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I go Commanders 5. If the Eagles weren't the Eagles, I would possibly like them to win the division. Again, how much worse would the Eagles be? Like, that's such a good team. Yeah, the Commanders are the 5. I then have the Lions being the 6 seed. So that's second wild card team that gets in. Of course, because I have the Vikings winning the division, I have the Lions as a 6.
Yeah. You want to have some fun?
Yes. Would love it. Let's do it.
How about the Bears?
Don't hate it.
How about the Bears getting in?
I have the Bears as a 7.
You do?
Yes.
Okay.
Again, that defense is good. You have Ben Johnson. Look, like he made Jared Goff look like Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Get the ball out quick. Now he has Caleb Williams,
Yeah.
who's so much more talented. If
Exactly.
he can just help him see the game,
Yep.
Caleb Williams has all the talent to make all the throws. I have the Bears as a 7 seed.
Yeah, all
So
right.
you're not. You're fun. I was about to say you're not that crazy.
Not crazy.
I was about to say you're not that fun though because
Yeah.
you was fun. You're fun. Adam.
Yeah, and then Vikings. I got the Vikings.
You have the Vikings as a 7.
Yeah.
Again, it's this division is so competitive. It has to be a 3-bid division.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, that's, whatever order you choose. I mean, NFC North is clearly, the cream of the crop, when it comes to the parity anyway.
Do you fire Matt LaFleur if they don't make the playoffs?
Yeah. I think that's got to be on the table.
Right?
Right? I mean, it's been, how many years now?
His first season was, excuse me, really quick, 29. No.
Was it before
2019.
COVID? Yeah, it was.
It was
before
2019.
COVID. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's on the table, right?
Because it's Aaron Rodgers stuff ran its course, but his in-game management is not the best decision making.
Yeah.
And now he's Jordan Love. All right, you paid him. That's
And
a guy.
you paid him a lot of money. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
He has to get you to the playoffs, and that's the Green Bay Packers. It's the same of talking about the Celtics where they are now in their rebuild, and I'm like, dude, it's fine. Take your time, do the rebuild, don't take them. And it's like, shouldn't you hold the Celtics to a higher standard? You have to hold the Packers to a higher standard. Then no, it's okay because your division's good. No, they need to make the playoffs.
Yeah, literally every fan is that invests is an owner.
Yes. It'd be cool to own a part of that team.
It would be.
I would not. You wouldn't catch me shoveling out that stadium though.
No, I'm all set with that.
They give you free lunch, I guess.
Yeah,
I
I'd
forget
be
how.
like a remote owner.
Totally.
Yeah,
Satellite owner,
yeah.
hands off, silent owner. We'll take another break here on Foxborough Rush. When we're back, we'll get to a mailbag with you guys. Got some great questions coming up. Welcome back to Foxborough Rush. All right, Adam, let's get to the mailbag. Is
Love
this your
it.
first Rush mailbag, or have you done it before?
Did one with Travis earlier
Nice,
this
nice.
week. Yeah.
Oh, that's why we got so much more comments, because you guys did a good job.
Okay.
I was off of it. We'll start with Maddie Sill 33. I don't know. Matt, or whatever.
Yeah.
I know you need to make content for your YouTube page or whatever, but
or
can't we
whatever.
just be patient and see how this group performs up to the trade deadline before we start wanting more new people? Go Pats. Go Pats. But no, I want to talk because this roster still has a gaping hole at receiver. Maybe that was off the Terry McLaurin combo. Maybe it was off other pieces. They still need to add. This roster is not good enough.
Well, let me counter this question with a question. Don't you think that the Patriots front office is constantly working to improve the roster too?
There you go.
Don't you think they're having these same kind of conversations behind closed doors? They're just
Great.
not making it public.
Yeah, that's it.
We're just making it public.
Yeah. I think that's perfect. There we go. Great point. John Stark 117, frequent commenter. Love you, John. Bringing back that toughness from not only the defense but also the offensive line will fast track this team back to success. This team also has to get back to making opponents pay for their turnovers. That was one of the most underrated statistics during Belichick-Brady era. It'll take a couple years to form Vrabel's ideal vision, but this first season could be a massive leap in the right direction.
Yeah, I agree. That's why they invested so much in the defense.
Yep, affecting the quarterback.
And the offensive line.
Yep,
right?
Protect the quarterback, affect the quarterback, run the ball, have playmakers in the red zone.
Absolutely. And I don't think turnover differential was...
it was not.
No, I mean, it was totally... Like, people talked about it all the time, I thought.
Everything about this team was terrible last year.
Yeah.
They're set up to have a really good first season under Vrabel.
I think so.
But again, same thing we'll see. What happened with Jaden Daniels, what happened to C.J. Stroud and their stops. There's going to be immense expectations and pressure going into the following season after that. But they have the structure and the foundation, in my opinion, that they can follow that up.
And Josh McDaniels back as offensive coordinator, I think is huge for Drake May.
Most underrated part of this entire offseason is McDaniels. He's Adam Pellerin. I'm George Balekji. This is Foxborough Rush. Appreciate you guys making us a part of your day. Make sure to catch new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. on Nest Nation. This Friday, it's 4th of July, so we'll have a little best of. You guys enjoy the barbecue. Go by Adam's.
Yeah, swing by.
Swing by Adam's house.
BYOB.
BYOB, burgers and booze.
That's right.
But he'll grill it for you guys. For AP and GB, we'll see you guys next time. Have a good one, everyone. Yeah.